Okay, I think we're right to go. vk3sl test missions on 160. Welcome to the afternoon dinner time session today. These are the Corona missions, the Corona cast, the real Corona cast here on 160, where we sample modulated sound. And yes, it's a place where we can experience it on our own wavelength, to coin a phrase. But I do make the disclaimer that if you want to be entertained, please go to the streaming service where we can currently stream live via YouTube. There's a YouTube channel dedicated to these missions, vk3sl as a YouTube channel. And there's a blog spot where all the rest of the information about this channel and about the station can be found, including an email address. Just look up vk3sl.blogspot.com and then all will be revealed. Anyhow, not a lot to report today. I'm just sick of looking at a postage stamp size screen and everything's in miniature, and I don't know. I went for a good walk before, but I'm feeling a bit headachy today. That's what happens. And I reckon it's posture related. I need a bigger screen in here. Anyhow, what have we got? A random snatch at the shelf. Before, I went to a shelf that I don't usually go to and I snatched out a couple of records, and amongst them is a Paul Whiteman face label. A 12-inch face label made from Columbia from about 1928, mid-1928, and it happens to be a big rhapsodic piece called Tchaikovskyiana, something like that, Tchaikovskyiana, and apparently it's a big rhapsody on themes of Tchaikovsky in the inimitable Paul Whiteman approach. But the arrangement is not by Ferda Grofé or Bill Challis, it's by Herman Hand. Now this dude is an interesting character. Mr. Hand was the first horn player in one of Richard Strauss's orchestras in Europe, and he had this distinguished orchestral career. And I'm just reading about it. It just goes on and on and on. And I knew nothing about Herman Hand. And he eventually went to Hollywood, and we had quite an association with Whiteman in the early days. And I think when Whiteman did his European tour in the 23, 24, anyhow, it was early days. He did this tour, and Mr. Hand sort of was on the cards. He was involved in some capacity. I can find out more later. But anyhow, Herman Hand ended up doing this arrangement, and it's quite interesting. It's quite out there. And here's some other great news, is that apparently Bix is playing on this record. I didn't realise that. Suddenly I was doing a search and it came up on a Bix discography. Now, I seem to remember from years and years back when I had my first wave of Bix obsession, I seem to remember hearing this in some other guys, and that it wasn't easy to tell that Bix was on it, but maybe I'm wrong. I'll be listening quite astutely to see if I can hear the sound of Mr. Beiderbecke. Anyhow, it's an original. It's a Paul Whiteman face label on Columbia from 1928. I think June the 20th or something, 1928. All right, I'll switch on, and we're in 78 mode. I think we're ready to go. VK3SL testing. Just heard the Paul Whiteman Orchestra recording made in June of 1928. And we just listened to the original recording, a Whiteman face label made for Columbia, not long after he moved to Columbia. I think it was May of that year that he notoriously tore up his Victor contract and began an association with Columbia Records, which was to last a little while. And the arrangement was by Herman Hand. Now, what a story. This dude is incredible. Mr. Herman Hand worked for Whiteman in his later years, but he started off as a horn player in Richard Strauss's orchestra, and then he worked for Sousa's band. But the goss is, you've got to look it up. I can't read it out. It takes too long. I might save it for Friday, but here's a teaser. If you look up Herman Hand in the internet, and you'll find rjmartz.com gives this incredible story. It's a modern, well, it's not a modern, it's an Edwardian case of fatal attraction where he pursued a young woman on a voyage, I think to Australia, when he was with Sousa's band. And this woman became obsessed with him and followed him everywhere. And there was all these court cases, and it was all in the media, and it was the biggest thing since Texas, the plight of Herman Hand being pursued by this woman for recompense because of certain liaisons. It goes on, and it's the stuff of soap operas. So there we go. Herman Hand certainly got his hand involved. Well, let's change tack. Another record to slip off the shelf has no label. In fact, it's got a bit of a stick-on label, and I might try and prise it off or steam it off because I don't know. It's a one-off. It's not an acetate, it's shellac, and it's a private recording, I think. Might be English. I just have no idea. And I had a sample before, and it sounded quite interesting. So we just let this one go to the keeper, and maybe its provenance will be revealed. That's the plan. So I like records like this, which have a mystery ensconced. So, yes, all it says is recorded by EMI Studios, London, England. And it's got something handwritten, but it's been stuck over, and we just don't know what is written there. So, yes, it'll warrant further investigation. But there's a couple of locked grooves here, but we'll give it a go. vk3sl.
And now, kids, interval. Lemon, squash, and coffee. Oh, goody. And now, chums, leading up to Reg, introducing our next novelty. Away with them there blues with a hot chorus spot. The sky is full of pretty things.
Okay, there we go. I don't know what that is. It's a custom shellac pressing, probably from the 1950s or late 40s, and but its provenance is completely obscure to me. But I can do some forensics on that disc. I can steam off the label and try and see what else there is, what other information may be there. There's some remnants of writing underneath the stick-on label, which has been partly removed. And it's got a big number 1, so I'm wondering if it's a part of a series and whether the rest of the series is on the shelves here somewhere. I hope so. It'd be great to find out. There we go. All right, well, we're testing here on 160 metres, and that's the story with these missions. There's certainly no entertainment intended whatsoever. We'd never do that. But what we do have is a part of our Asta Flux series. Now, in recent times, we've been playing these acetates from we think it's from the collection of a violinist, a Lithuanian violinist who settled in Melbourne in the late 40s, that being Asta Flack. Now, she ran an orchestra in Melbourne, a small string orchestra featuring female performers, and they had concert subscriptions, and they're still going. The Asta Orchestra is still in the... They've actually got a website, so at some point I'll probably need to make contact with them and let them know that I have a big part of their archive. But it seems like the first couple of years of their performances, the concert series, were recorded on acetate, recorded on 12-inch acetate Bayer blanks at 45 RPM. And they're in various states of repair, and they're pretty ad hoc. They're not that well recorded. And if I do put them up online, I'm going to have to try and do something to equalise them a bit because they're not that listenable. I had a very, probably an unsuccessful attempt to dress this one up. But look, we'll have a listen anyhow. There's some nice moments on it. And I think she was quite a gifted player. But it is music making from Melbourne in an interesting time. That's sort of post-migration, late 40s, early 50s era. And it's sort of where it was, live music became sort of far more diversified at that time. So I think it's very significant that we have these records at hand and they tell a story. So let's hear Asta Flack conducting the Astra Orchestra. So she's Asta, but the orchestra she conducted is Astra, A-S-T-R-A, the Astra Orchestra. And we'll hear here a Handel Concerto Grosso. This is vk3sl, test missions on 160 metres and streaming online. vk3sl test missions on 160 metres, and we've just heard an acetate recording from about 1951, a recording of the Astra Chamber Orchestra, an orchestra in Melbourne, conducted by Asta Flack, a Lithuanian fiddle player. And there is a story there which we'd like to unpack at some point. There's a number of these recordings from their concert series, and their concerts were at Nicholas Hall, which was a part of the Wesley Church, I think, in the city. I think that's the story. But some of these are rehearsals, so that may have been a rehearsal. There's no applause at the end, but they tend to fade out very quickly, I've noticed. So maybe, who knows? Anyway, it was a full-blooded, soulful performance of Handel, and I think it was his Opus 6, number 12. So there we go. Nostalgia. Some rarities here on the station. We're testing, of course, and we're just sort of sampling the stuff. It's just an indulgence, a pathology. It's something that keeps me going and gives me an extra bit of purpose at this time of the day when I'm just doing stuff in here. I'm listening, and I might as well just listen along with other potential listeners or non-listeners, whatever. There's a streaming service as well. Okay, I actually had planned to play some Kate Bush, and we had an email today from Mr. F, who's listening, and he was recommending some Kate Bush, and I've got that all lined up. But you know what? I'm sorry, John. We will play it. I promise we will play it, but not tonight. I've decided, after listening to that Baroque music, I felt that it would be nice to follow on because another record fell off the shelf and I want to hear it. This is a recording of Vivaldi's Four Seasons. Now, it's a version I've never heard before. I mean, it's made in the 60s, I think. And I like early recordings of the Vivaldi Four Seasons. I particularly like that slightly full-blooded romantic approach to Baroque music, like what we've just heard. And I'm keen to hear what this is like. It's the Pro Art Chamber Orchestra in Munich, and it was originally recorded for Erato. So, yeah, we'll have a listen. And it's got Otto Bruckner as the fiddle player here. It's an old world record disc, but it's one I'd like to hear. So since we've sort of been going Baroque, we might as well continue that trend, and then we'll have a program dedicated to Ms. Bush sometime soon, probably tomorrow. See how we go. So there we have it. So let's see. We've got the SP10 all cranked up and ready, and I think it's just a question of flicking the button here, and then we should be right. This is vk3sl test missions on 160 metres. Baroque music as I like it. That is Full-Blooded Vivaldi. Yes, we've just heard his Two of his 4 seasons. There's 2 more on the other side. We just heard concertos number 1 in E, spring, and number 2 in G minor, summer. All right, let's turn the disc over. It's got my favourite coming up, Winter, at the end, and you'll hear that magical slow movement. I can't wait to hear that. So we'll just flip the disc and give it a quick clean first. Got to do the right thing here. It does make a difference, I found. So right, there we go. We've got the dust master. And we're on to side 2, vk3sl testing. Test transmission from vk3sl. That movement's supposed to represent walking on ice, winter Vivaldi. We've just heard the Four Seasons, a recording of an Orato disc from the 1960s, and it was the Pro Art Chamber Orchestra from Munich, conducted by Kurt Redel. Otto Buchner is the fiddle player. There we go. It's great to hear Baroque music with nice full-blooded flavour. Now, I just need to find our exit music because I'm going to wind up. I want to sit beside the fire, not come out here again. I'm getting sick of this booth. But we will be back tomorrow, and maybe some Kate Bush tomorrow. We'll see. Looking for the exit music. Is it still here? Here it is, the Handel Messiah. All we like sheep have gone astray. Absolutely. vk3sl. Testing.